Although most history buffs and movie fans know how Hollywood has painted Katie Elder, the facts about her are far more interesting than what we have seen on the big screen. Before she made her appearance on Whiskey Row in the company of none other than Doc Holliday, along with Wyatt and Virgil Earp in 1879, her life is a story worthy of the movies. In the 1965 movie The Sons of Katie Elder, starring John Wayne, we get to know one version of her life. History is somewhat empty of any evidence that she had any children except perhaps one that died as an infant along with the father. In 1971, she was portrayed by Faye Dunaway in the film Doc. Another of many versions can be seen in the very successful movie Tombstone, released in 1993. Well, over her lifetime, she wore many names. She was actually born Mary Catherine Heroni in Budapest, Hungary, November 7, 1850, the eldest daughter of a wealthy physician, well educated, speaking at least 5 languages. Her father was once the personal physician to Maximilian of Mexico until he was deposed in 1865. The family soon moved to Davenport, Iowa, and there her parents tragically died of an unknown illness. At this time, Kate had reached the tender age of 14. She was put into a foster home of a gentleman named Otto Smith. When she reached the ripe old age of 17, she set out on her own, stowing away on a steamship that was headed to St. Louis, Missouri. But she was discovered by Captain Fisher. According to all reports, he was kind to her, and she took on his name, calling herself Katie Fisher. She entered a convent under that name, graduating in 1869. Then in 1874, she traveled to Dodge City, Kansas, calling herself Kate Elder, where she met Nellie Bessie Earp, wife of James Earp, running a brothel. James was one of the brothers of Virgil, Wyatt, and Morgan. There seems to be a void of information as to why or when she went from debutante to debauchery, or why she picked Dodge City, Kansas as a destination at that time. In 1878, Kate is in Fort Griffin, Texas, where she met John Henry Doc Holliday. She helped him escape possible hanging for slicing a man named Ed Bailey during a card game, spilling his innards on the floor. Kate, holding a pistol in each hand and having set fire to a small shed for distraction, made it possible for the two to escape. The next few years, they were nearly always together. It is said they had a rocky relationship at best. Then in 1879, they made their way to Prescott, Arizona Territory, along with Wyatt and Virgil Earp. Virgil had been living in Prescott a couple of years before Kate, Wyatt, and Doc showed up.
And it's ironic that all the principals of the time, historically speaking, were in this saloon at one time. Virgil Earp, Morgan Earp, Doc Holliday, Kate, known as Big Nose Kate, not because her nose was large, but it was just aristocratic. And she had gained that reputation back in Dodge for having been a little too assertive for the post-Victorian era of women. Wyatt said she had a nature of putting her nose in other people's business and telling them what she thought and what she thought they should think.
Of course, Doc Holliday at the OK Corral fight is probably the person who started that fight. And if there's any moral to come out of a gunfight at the OK Corral, it's this: do not take a drunk dentist to make an arrest, okay? That's the moral of the entire thing. But his girlfriend, Big Nose Kate, who was in Fly's boarding house during the fight, she witnessed the fight looking out the window at the guys actually firing there. They were later estranged, and she moved on to a Globe area where she ran a boarding house, and she ended up in the Pioneers home in Prescott, Arizona. And she wanted to cash in on the story because she was an older woman now, and she wanted to tell her side of the story. And so she contracted a young college student from the University of Arizona, Dr. Bjork, and he interviewed her, and they tried to tell her story, and they couldn't get it told. And she died alone at the Prescott Pioneers home and never got to tell her story.